Buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Dukes Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms.
From my cold, dead hand.
Friday.
Take my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fighting, this is for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Firearms Friday, your chance to sound off on issues of a 2A nature right here on the Michael Dukes Show. Hello, my friends. How are you on this beautiful Friday, the last broadcast day of the year? That's right. Last broadcast day of 2024. We're about to jump into it with both feet and get into the home stretch here down in beautiful on top of the world down here in Homer, as we get ready for the takeover of the radio stations down here on January the 1st. And so while I normally put my feet up and enjoy a little quiet time with the family, it's hustle bustle around here. Hustle bustle as we get things ready to go and get things going on. So we're going to be off the air from Monday through the 2nd. We should be returning to the air on Thursday, January 2nd, and we'll be kicking things off then. In the meanwhile, it's going to be a busy holiday season for me. I hope you guys take some time off and enjoy your family as well, and you know, just remember the reason for the season, as they say. It'd be a good time to just enjoy a little spice cider or mulled wine or whatever it is that your thing is, some good dark rich coffee, and enjoy yourself for the holiday season. Take that time and reflect on what's happening in the new year. All right, well, today is Firearms Friday, and that's the 5th day of the week, and it's the one day a week where we start talking about issues related to the Second Amendment. We started doing this a long time ago, where we would break out the day and talk about, gun rights and the attempts by many people to abdicate or to, infringe on your rights and many other things. So that's where it came from, and that's what we're doing today. I've also opened up the phone lines. And since it is the last broadcast day of the year, and it's Christmas and anything else, I'll actually entertain phone calls today for anybody who wants to offer Christmas wishes or anything else as well. It doesn't just have to be about guns today. I'm changing. I'm flipping the script a little bit. So if you want to call in and wish you or your loved ones a Merry Christmas. We are broadcasting across the state, the whole peninsula, and up into Fairbanks and everything else. So whatever you want to do, we want to do. So we want to help you with that as well. So feel free to come on board, and let's get that done today on the phones. I'm looking for the words. They're so hard. Words are hard. 319-527-3864. 319-527-3864. If you want to call in today and talk about, any of the gun stuff that we're going to talk about, but also if you want to wish anyone a Merry Christmas, or just if you just want to offer Christmas cheer, that's what it's all about today. I'm feeling, even as overwhelmed and stressed as I feel a lot of the time, I'm starting to feel a little bit of that Christmas spirit. Now, that's good because Christmas is only 5 days away. But, I'm surprised. I guess I surprised myself that I'm feeling a little Christmassy. And part of that is that I've been listening to my Christmas playlist. I shared that a year or two ago with all the listeners. I created a Spotify Christmas playlist or whatever that had all my old, favorite when I was growing up, had all the old songs from when I was growing up and a bunch of new ones that are all in the same vein. And I've been listening to that, and it really seems to have helped put me in that holiday spirit. So I feel good about it. So, all right. Well, what are some of the stories that we're going to cover today? Well, we're going to start off with some new rules that the Biden administration has trotted out on its way out the door. I mean, the Biden administration is 30 days away. Today is the 20th, so it's 30 days away from being shown the door. I mean, at this point, not too soon, because quite honestly, after his disastrous performance on the debate stage, I've had a real serious concern as to whether or not he is even competent to stand stand up for office and to even execute the duties of the president. And because, I mean, it wasn't like he was really, holding it together even before that. But ever since then, I'm just wondering who's actually driving the bus when it comes to the current administration. Because I'm very unsure that it's actually Joe Biden at this point. I mean, not that he's never shocked us with things that he's said in the past.
Put a pistol on a brace, it turns into a gun. Makes it more, you can have a higher caliber weapon, a higher caliber bullet coming out of that gun. It's essentially turned it into a short barrel rifle, which has been a weapon of choice by a number of mass shooters.
I mean, sure, it changes the caliber and it does all the, I mean, so anyway, we're going to talk about his new rules. We're going to talk about actually enforcing the law, because that's one of the things out there that, that's what we need. We need to enforce the law. We're going to talk about David Hogg, and it really is true. He is running for the vice chairmanship of the DNC, the Democratic National Committee. I mean, this is a guy who's made his whole career out of being I guess he's not framing it as if he's a Parkland victim, but he's based his entire career on school shootings. And so he's got an agenda and he's going to go in there. But he sat down with Dana Bash over at CNN. And I'll just say, my Christmas gift to you was that I listened to him so you don't have to. And I'm not going to subject you to him this morning on the program, but we'll talk about what he said and get some stuff on that. Also, we'll talk about the latest about that Madison school shooting, because it keeps getting weirder as it unfolds. There is more and more questions that are coming out of that. And I wonder why. I just wonder exactly what's going on, and how some of the leading folks in law enforcement. Remember our friend David Codrea from the War on Guns? He's the writer for Guns Magazine. Remember how he talks about, they say that the police and the military are the only ones that are safe enough to be able to carry guns, and they're the only ones that should have authority over that. Well, we've got a couple stories here that no, that's a nope from me. That's just a big nope. It's a full-on nope right from the start. And we'll talk about those stories as well. So, number to call, 319-527-3864. 319-527-3864. And I might actually even throw some Christmas stuff in here if I feel like, just depends on how the flow goes today. What is the flow of what we're doing? So we're going to start off there, and we will go from there. But let's take a look at what President Muppet is doing as he gets ready to leave office, or whoever is pulling his strings, whoever is running the show while the president sits in a corner and mumbles to himself. What's going on? Well, I guess it's good that he doesn't have it's good that he does not have a lot of time left. According to the Truth About Guns, he has proposed a new rule for the DOJ. This Notice of Proposed Rulemaking, NPRM, was released on December the 4th, and it reads as the following. Following the language of the BCSA, which is the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, for those of you who are keeping track, the Firearms Handlers Rule proposes that federal firearm licensees, such as gun stores, be allowed to use the NICS, the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, to voluntarily conduct employment background checks for certain employees. Current NICS regulations prohibit FFLs from initiating background checks for any other purpose other than to transfer firearms. Under this new proposed rulemaking, FFLs will be permitted to request NICS background checks for current or prospective employees who may handle firearms, ammunition, or related material. The Firearm Handlers Rule details the scope of employees eligible for background checks, as well as new NICS statuses proposed for such checks. Now, I don't know. I know many people over the years have gone through different forms of background checks. I don't know why you would want to subject. I mean, there's tons of checks out there that can be done. I don't know why you would want to allow this. I mean, the NICS check is basically for firearms transfers, but that's not the part that has the biggest heartburn in this whole issue. The biggest part is that under this new proposed rule, known as the Under 21 rule, there's a new section called the Under 21 rule, which would codify enhanced NICS background checks procedures for prospective firearms purchasers under the age of 21, among other changes. Under the BSCA, NICS is required to conduct enhanced background checks for such purchasers under 21 by contacting certain state and local entities to determine if a juvenile record, such as a criminal conviction or mental health record, may disqualify the purchaser. The FBI began performing these enhanced checks in late 2022. The second proposed rule, AG Order number 6100-2024, would require enhanced background checks on adults under 21 who wish to purchase a firearm, allowing the FBI to contact local and state organizations to inquire about juvenile criminal and mental health records. The note, though, is that these agencies are not required to respond to such communications, because in some states, some of this information is explicitly prohibited. The state law prohibits them from disseminating that information. There's a firewall between the state and the Fed, and which immediately makes me think maybe we should pass laws like this in this state so the feds don't know. But I mean, just because you're under the age of, look, you have to sign. It's required by law that you sign up at the age of 18 for selective service. So you can go overseas and fight and die for your country. You can buy a pack of smokes. You can get a tattoo. You can be married. You can be emancipated and living on your own. There are so many things you can do when you're 18. Why this arbitrary and capricious number of 21? I mean, I don't understand it. Why this number 21? Why is this so magical? I mean, you're too young to be trusted with anything at that point. I mean, if you can go out and fight and die for your country, I would think you should be able to fight and die for yourself. You should be able to defend yourself. I mean, constitutionally, I don't see an issue. This is part of that problem where they're, this whole teenager thing, right? Instead of being young adults, they're teenagers, and it encapsulates people in that kind of that age group. But I mean, the fact that you have to go through enhanced anything because you're between 18 and 21, that's like no man's land. But this is the latest from the Biden White House on their way out the door. Not as bad, obviously, not as egregious as it could be. But man, I'm telling you, it's just treating these kids like they're some kind of second-class citizens because they happen to be in that magical 3-year window makes no sense to me. If you keep treating them like kids, they're going to act like kids. Treat them like adults. That also means, by the way, having consequences for their actions. We're going to talk about that here in just a bit. All right, we got to go. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
Listened to by more staffers in Juneau than any other show because their bosses told them to. And after what they just heard, oh man, they're going to be pissed.
You're a bad, bad man.
The Michael Duke Show.
Okay. Let's go over here. Let me see what's going on here. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to everybody that said good morning this morning. Brian says, Merry Christmas to the 6 o'clock club. There, I've covered all my loved ones. Anthony's Christmas wishes. May your powder never be wet. May your rifle never rust. And may your sights stay true. Nice. David says, where's my Santa hat? I don't know. I couldn't find it. I actually have one. I was looking for it. Oh, that's the floor around my furnace is wet, said Brian. This isn't good. It's a good thing you know Anthony. That's all I'm saying. It's a good thing you know Anthony. Give him a call. He'll come out and fix that for you. Of course, Anthony's in Fairbanks and you're in Wasilla, so good luck with that. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right. I'm just going. I'm going through all this stuff here. Biden is like what? Biden is like the pissed off drunk guy that gets laughed at and told to leave the bar and tries to destroy as much as they can on the way out the door. I mean, it could have been so much worse. It could have been so much worse, man. It just could have been so much worse. When I said you guys could drive the bus, nobody's driving the buses. Think like a Tesla Cybertruck on auto drive mode. Yeah, in Fairbanks, I guess they're having nothing but problems with the buses there, right? I mean, they can't get anything done. Did you see the Alaska Watchman article where Murkowski does not want to be called a Republican? Well, yeah. There you go. All right, let me see here. Barbara says, I'm going to need help opposing the installation of a roundabout at Nordell and Pegger Road in North Pole. They're so in love with all these roundabouts. I mean, they got all the studies that show that they're supposedly safer, but I don't know. How many cows and goats and dogs do you have? What? So Ukraine, okay, so Anthony says, so Ukraine can have billions of dollars, new military weapons, and GPS guided ICBM missile platforms, but Joe wants to make sure gun salesmen are trustworthy. I mean, you're not wrong, right? You are not wrong. Yeah. Merry Christmas, says Kevin. I wish to all of you health and happiness in the new year. Merry Christmas, Kevin. Donna says Trump and Vivek are driving the bus in D.C. Yeah. All right. Anthony says to Brian, I could cut a deal on drive time, I suppose, if you need him to drive down and look at that. Greg says better than the antique streetlight controls in Fairbanks. Well, you don't like that? You don't like that corridor of stoplights all the way down Cushman there? That's my favorite, man. You got to hit them all at just the right time as you go through. That's what you got to do. Merry Christmas, Barbara. Thanks for coming in and being part of it today. It's beautiful. I mean, it's just, man, it's 35 degrees, something like that. It was sprinkling this morning when I let the dog out here this morning. Sprinkling and 35 degrees. It's amazing. 36 degrees now. It's supposed to rain all the way through Sunday. 98% chance of precipitation Saturday and Sunday here. So that 27 inches of snow is pretty much, going to go away as well. We're going to see where that goes. All right, we're going to jump into this here. I got caught up on all the headlines, or all the comments, rather. Let's get back to it. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
What the hell's an assault weapon? What isn't? If I assault you with a penguin, doesn't that make it an assault weapon? Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
Welcome back. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm starting to feel that holly jolly Christmas. I mean, I've already got the roly-poly thing going on. I'm already feeling the holly jolly. Welcome back. Phone lines are open this morning at 319-527-3864 as we go throughout this Firearms Friday, talking to you guys about gun rights and gun stuff and everything else. Well, David Hogg. We all know David Hogg, right? He is the kid who was at, I guess there's still some confusion as to whether he was actually at the school when the shooting took place, or whether his outrage was, whether it's opportunism, or, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to besmirch it. I mean, there is some, I guess I am besmirching it simply because I'm raising the question of whether he was actually there at Parkland when it happened. But, of course, he made a name for himself, standing up and being outraged about all the school violence and everything that took place at his alma mater and everything else. And of course, since then, he's been a fixture of the news. He's been a darling of the news media, praised and lauded and, videoed and watched and giving speeches and doing parades and everything else about guns. And about gun control and about taking away your Second Amendment rights. Well, there was a rumor floating around here. I guess we covered this a couple weeks ago, that maybe, just maybe, he decided to throw his hat in the ring for one of the highest offices in the Democratic Party in the United States. And the fact is, it's true. He is now officially a candidate for vice chairman of the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, which is the overall party. And he seems to believe that Congress, in an interview with Dana Bash over at CNN, he seems to be of the belief that Congress could somehow pass enough gun control laws so that there are never any more school shootings. Ever. I mean, it's a 90-second clip. I'm not going to subject you to it because he says some things in there that are just like, wow. But essentially, he keeps going on and on about the number of school shootings. Now, Dana Bash starts out the question by saying there were something like 413 school shootings. And shame on her, because those weren't really school shootings, a lot of those incidents. And this is another way that the news media, inflates or misleads, deceives the general public. She said that there were 413 school shooting incidents that happened, that went on in America in the last year. What she doesn't tell you is that a goodly portion of those, yes, I used the word goodly, happened outside school hours, often when there weren't even students on the campus. I mean, this is people, shootings on playgrounds or sometimes at parking lots, drug deals gone bad after hours, things that happen adjacent to the school that that gets counted as a school shooting. So, I mean, even her premise of her question was misleading to begin with. But she starts out by saying, the number of school shootings, 413. What do you say to that? And he goes on to talk about how, well, Congress has just fallen down. And, the Democrats have gotten better, but they really need to be more. What we need is more laws to make it and if we just did that, if we just made more, then there would never, ever, ever be another school shooting anywhere at any time in America. Now, I'm being a little facetious, but that's essentially, boiled down to the essence, that's basically what he says during this whole clip. But the problem is that there is no laws on the books anywhere that would make school shootings disappear. Because, I mean, let's face it, it's already illegal to kill people. It's really illegal to kill a lot of people. It's illegal to bring guns onto school property. It's a federal law, right? I mean, it's illegal to do. I mean, there's so many laws that have to be broken in the process of this. I mean, what are you going to do? Just make the laws extra illegal? You're just going to do whatever? And just to point out, in case before somebody jumps into this whole, well, America and every place else is so much safer. The Tom Knight over at Bearing Arms points out that there's no, all these it happens at schools all the time. There was one in Finland earlier this year. A year ago, 34 were killed in a nursery school in Thailand. 9 others were killed in a school shooting in Serbia last year, and another 22 were killed in 2022 at a school shooting in Russia, of all places. Not a bastion of freedom for guns. So there is nothing. Again, this is people who live in the land of high fiction. There is nothing that you can do. There is no. And I've said this, you cannot legislate evil or insanity. Those are the two things you can't legislate. And I would argue that most of these school shootings are perpetrated by people who suffer from both evil and insanity. But this is a guy who sits on national television, who everybody praises him and telling him what a good job he's doing. He wants to be a key player in a national party. And at his age, I mean, he's just out of college. What is he, 24, 25, something like that, 26? He'll be in there shaping the policy of that party for decades if he wins. It's going to be, it's going to be interesting. Now, I have a hard time taking him seriously, but he is a mover. But you listen to this stuff and it's just like he claims the impossible is going to happen. A chicken in every pot, and never, ever would there be another school shooting. Of course, again, we know that that's not the reason. The reason that the shootings happen at schools is because of the way schools are themselves. We can talk about that here in a second. But first, let's go over to the phone lines. I see we got Larry on the phone. Let's go over there and see what he has to say this morning. Hello, Larry. What's on your mind?
Well, season's greetings to you, Michael.
Well, Merry Christmas, my friend. How are you?
All right. Well, I thought I'd get on and advertise our gun show that's happening this weekend, the 21st and 22nd of December.
Okay.
Um, there again, there at Shoppers Forum, on Airport Road,
Okay.
just off of Cal Street. And the 21st, it's for general public, it's 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then on Sunday, the 22nd, it will be 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's the hours for the general public.
All right. At the
And the
Shoppers,
gun show.
at the old Lamont building in the Shoppers Forum Mall, right?
Are you there?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm here, Larry. You at the Shoppers Forum building, the old Lamont building in the Shoppers Forum Mall, right?
Correct. Yeah.
All right.
Well, it's the old Gottschalk's
The
building.
old Gottschalk's building.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, used to be, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm showing my age
yeah,
there,
used to
Larry.
be.
I'm showing my age with that
Yeah.
one right there. That's right. Okay. Well, Merry Christmas to you, Larry.
Good.
Thanks for calling in.
All right.
Appreciate it.
You have a good one there, Michael.
You bet. Thanks so much.
Bye now.
Appreciate it. All right. So we're
All participants are muted.
Whoa, she was authoritative with that, wasn't she? All right, so phone lines are open, obviously, 319-527-3864, 319-527-3864. There's a reason. I mean, going back to what David Hogg was saying, we could just stop these school shootings. Well, we could. We could stop the school shootings. Kira Davis writes over at justkiradavis.substack.com. And she writes for Red State, and she asks the question, why are these insane shooters always so attracted to schools? The answer is obvious. They're not safe. They're vulnerable. Targeting something like a bank or even an average corporate office comes with risks. Banks and offices have security officers, police presence, closed-circuit TV monitoring, and more. Pulling off a mass casualty event in an area like that comes with lots of hazards. We use security to protect our money. We use security to protect our workplaces. We don't use a standard security protocol for our children in their schools. It makes no sense until you frame it in the perspective of politics. The progressive left does not want any other alternatives to work. They want to be right, and that is it. Increased security at our schools is a solution. When we solve things, the progressives can no longer use those issues as bludgeons for their own agendas and entertainment. Making our schools safer means less possibility of events like the tragedy in Wisconsin. As perverse as it sounds, it also means fewer soapboxes for the progressive left to stand on and demand we rescind our Second Amendment rights. Our children deserve the same protection at schools that CEO and bank workers get. It doesn't seem like a controversial stance to take. The most valuable asset we have as people and as Americans are our children. We should treat them accordingly. Yet leftists continue to force them to be at risk simply to satisfy their own political goals. Now, that's a pretty tough statement. That's a pretty tough commentary. But it's not wrong. Why do they fight so hard against hardening the schools, or at least providing the same level of security you would at a bank? I mean, your money is precious. Those things are precious, but, shouldn't we have the same level of security or more for our most precious commodity, our children? And why does it keep happening at schools? Well, again, because they aren't safe. Why does it happen in many places that you've heard about some foiled attempts where things get started, but then security guards stop it or private citizens stop it? Why does it happen at malls and schools and then college campuses? Because again, most of these places are gun-free zones and not made safe. Or it disallows the private citizen from being able to defend themselves on it. It's kind of a crazy thing. Kind of a crazy thing. All right, we're up against the break. I just looked up and realized we got to go. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have more. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Merry Christmas to you, my friends. 319-527-3864. We'll continue with more in just a moment. Back with more right after this.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes on Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay, we got one line on hold right now, one phone line on hold. We can go over there and see who it is and get them ready for the return to radio. Let's get started. Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, morning, Mike. Merry Christmas. And all the 6 a.m. people, this is A.K. Henry Morgan from Alaska.
Oh, okay, Henry. Hold the line for a second, my friend. We'll be right back to you, and we'll get your thoughts here. And Merry Christmas to you as we continue on here. Let me go up here to see what you guys are saying. It's going to get slick up high. Yeah, no, I've already got somebody bought me some after I took that spill. What was it, a couple weeks ago? When I almost busted my head, somebody bought me some cleats. They handed them to me and said, "Hey, I got your present," which I thought was very nice. So yeah, I'm going to be wearing my cleats the next couple days. The reason DOT is planning roundabouts, says Frank, is that there's federal funding for those over four-way intersections. They're not funding four-way intersections. Yeah, there you go. He said this is why Alaska has very little say on highways, etc., the loss of state sovereignty for federal dollars. Yeah. Says Brian, how about outlawing after-hours drug deals on school grounds? Yeah, you want to shrink those school shooting numbers? Let's outlaw anybody being on school property after hours. Anybody. Yeah. Have they kept track? Asks Richie. Have they kept track of the incidents that involve a responsible citizen dropping the wacky shooter before the police show up? I mean, again, DGU defensive gun use stats are pretty clear. They are pretty clear that it's something like, up to 2 million times a year. That is fixed the problem, Let's entertain this concept. Let's pass sweeping reform and a laundry list of federal laws regulating and penalizing rain. I'm sure if we pass enough legislation, we could keep precipitation from disturbing us, right? Right. Yeah. When I was in high school, said Richie, half of my buddies drove old pickup trucks with gun racks and they'd go hunting after school. And there was never once a school shooting. What changed besides the year? The people changed. The nuclear family changed. The attitude of and we'll actually get into that. I think that there's a story asking why mass murder has risen up, and I think that there is an appropriate theory on that, Richie. We'll get to that here in a minute. Let's see. Been saying that for several years. My gun-free zones are advertising soft targets for people bent on creating mayhem and chaos. You want to stop mass shootings? Stop giving evil people places to do them. Yeah. No, I got you there. Yeah, I got you there. All right. Let's see. I'm going through reading some of the comments here. Richie says, you're right. There are many components, but I don't believe any of them are directly caused by an inanimate objects. It's just more expedient and convenient for people to finger point and not address the real issues that drive said individual to the point that they felt compelled to take that action. Yeah. And like I said, I will expand on that here in just a little bit. It's definitely a thing. Jeannie goes on to point out that we were talking about security in schools. I mean, social security offices, airports, courthouses, police departments, state parks, national parks. There are so many different places in different ways where you have to go through security. I mean, to go get a form from the IRS in Fairbanks, I know you got to walk through metal detectors and get a pat down and everything else to go to the IRS office. I mean, it's crazy. It crazy. William says it's crazy what happens after the people in Congress put their hands on the Bible and swear to uphold and defend the Constitution, and then they just try and tear it apart. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the nuclear family has definitely changed. My kids' friends were always in awe about how we sat down for family dinner. Yeah, we're so busy, right? I mean, I bet my family's been as guilty as that as the next guy. We're so busy, we end up eating in shifts. We don't end up sitting down and eating together. That's a bummer. That is a bummer. For sure. What? What okay. All right, there you go. I'm not gonna I won't repost that, Anthony. Anthony's got an interesting comment in there about David Hogg. I won't repost that one. But I mean, it's good to know how you feel. You know, it's good to know how you feel. And let me know when your Facebook ban is done. All right. Let's get back to it. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Yeah.
What the hell is an assault weapon? Does that mean that if we hurt your feelings, you should consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can accept that. Here's Michael Dukes. Kind of a dick, but somewhat funny.
Wow. He really doesn't like me. All right, welcome back to the program. We're continuing on now. It is Firearms Friday. We got one line on hold, 319-527-3864. Henry calling in from rural Alaska. He had something to say this morning. Good morning, Henry. What's on your mind?
Hey, morning, Mike. Your favorite antagonistic instigator. Anyhow, Merry Christmas, everybody. And being Firearms Friday, probably the best defense is maybe 10 millimeter or 30 round clip or some size Derringer. But real reason I'm calling is Alaska is being invaded. According to Jamie Allard, Representative Allard, there are between 5,000 and 10,000 illegals in Alaska and about 60,000 non-citizens. And my concern is they're being brought in by our own government here in Alaska through grants to NGOs. And those people who are doing that against us should be held accountable for treason. Because I don't know how much more Alaska can take of this. When you're talking about schools, we see a lot of foreigners working in our schools, a lot of them transgendered. And in here in the school, they're teaching LGBT, the fourth R, which is mandated by Obama, and it's hurting our kids. And you ought to get Jamie Allard on and get Nick on and ask him what to do, because Biden, he's burning everything down before Trump gets on, because he's selling off at border wall, And,
well, we've reached out to
here in Anchorage, Sanctuary City. They're giving citizenship to 193 last time foreigners, and we see them all over rural Alaska by the tens of thousands working in the schools, clinics, hospitals.
Right. Well, part of the problem here is, Henry, is that, I've reached out to Representative Allard, and I've invited her to come on the program a couple times. I'm waiting for her latest response on this, because I do want to talk to her. I know that she made a comment about this. Part of the problem with the employment that you're talking about in rural Alaska, especially for schools, is that they can't get qualified teachers from the lower 48. So they've been hiring a lot of, I guess, Filipinos and others to come in. Illegals is something that I am concerned about, but not to the extent that I think that you are. But non-citizens, I mean, we are a country of immigrants, and non-citizens have a place here as they work their way through a path to citizenship. So I'm not necessarily as worried as much about that. But I am concerned about the reason that a lot of these foreign nationals are coming in and taking these jobs is because they're having a hard time filling them. If they can't fill them with somebody from here in the state or from the lower 48, they got to have some place to fill them. That's part of the problem here.
Yeah, on your point, UAA is supposed to be supposed to be turning our teachers, but they're not. Our universities have been taken over by the globalist woke agenda, and it's not that people aren't willing to work. They're not being trained to work as teachers, but we are being invaded, Mike. We can't. Alaskans can be overwhelmed. They're using the state's finances. They're using our permanent fund, and they're trying to even use our permanent fund itself to pay for this invasion. And we're at the point of collapse almost, Mike. Thanks for having me on. I know you don't like what I have to say a lot of times, but people got to hear this. We see them by the tens of thousands in rural Alaska, and it's scary stuff going on out here.
All right.
The clinics are being used against us, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you, Henry. I appreciate it. Merry Christmas. It's not that I don't like what you say, Henry. It's that I disagree necessarily with the severity of what you're talking about. I'm not disagreeing totally, but I agree. And I just wish you a Merry Christmas. Thanks for calling in. 319-527-3864. 319-527-3864. If you would like to sound off today on Firearms Friday for anything. 10 millimeter with a 30-round clip. That's what Henry said. That's a good self-defense. Or Derringer. One of the two. That's what he said. That's what's going on. It's a tough situation. All right. What was I going to talk about? I totally forgot what I was going to talk about here. I was going to talk about why. Because during the break, I think it was Richie who said, we used to drive to school all the time. He said, when I was in high school, half my buddies drove old pickup trucks with gun racks, and they'd go hunting after school. And yet there was never once a school shooting. What changed besides the year? It's the people. It's the culture. It's the destruction of it's the old trope of the destruction of the nuclear family. The, lack of fathers. It's the lack of that stability. And one theory put forward by John Nance over at Town Hall talks about school shootings in particular. And I think that he's got something nailed here. He said traditionally the school shooting phenomenon was perpetrated by young, disaffected males. But a disturbing new trend seems to be forming. The tragic shooting at the Abundant Life Christian School this week was committed by a young girl, a 15-year-old with a digital history indicative of the deep angst experienced by many young teenagers left adrift in existential darkness. It's a very disturbing trend, indeed, when our young girls, typically characterized by feminine compassion, who should be anticipating the joys of family, motherhood, or career, instead are driven to find meaning in mass homicide. Surely, this is the sign of a cultural apocalypse. Reportedly, the killer had an online obsession with mass shootings and death. Can it really be surprising that our culture of death, the death of God, the death of the unborn, and the death of personhood, produces mass murdering kids? We treat the unborn like bio-waste and devalue life to the point of absurd irrelevance, discarding it at will. The message to anyone paying attention is that life is disposable and subject to whim or convenience. Making a statement with the lives of innocent people is a simple metaphysical extension of the secular culture of grievance and lack of eternal accountability. Perhaps some old-fashioned hellfire preaching might go a long way toward saving lives, both temporal and spiritual. This is also exacerbated by what happened with that CEO for United Healthcare. The people who were celebrating this. You want to talk about the devaluation of life and the culture of death? I mean, people were celebrating this. President Biden didn't say boo about this. One of the most high-profile incidents like this in modern history. He makes a comment about the school shootings because, again, going back to what they were saying earlier, they like to use that as a bully pulpit to pound down on your Second Amendment rights. But not a word about the assassination of the CEO of United Healthcare. Again, there were many corners of the internet that were cheering for this. So again, John Nance over at Town Hall is not wrong. There is a culture of, I mean, it's cultural collapse, I guess I would say, or metamorphosis. I don't think it's evolution. I think it's devolution, quite honestly, where we go away from a family unit, from a nuclear family of support and cheer and happiness, to no wonder many of these people feel like and again, the idea that suicide is the answer at the end of this thing, and they just were doing it to make a statement, making the statement with innocent lives. Well, again, it's just an extension of the secular culture of grievance and any kind of eternal count. If you don't believe in God and you don't believe there's any afterlife and you don't believe that there's anything beyond what you're doing right now, then what does it matter what you do? What does it matter if you go out there and perpetrate one of these mass events like this? What does that matter? I mean, is it just, is it just politics, or is it culture in the abstract? Is it overall culture? When you devalue life to such a degree that it's easy for people who go out and create these mass casualty events to decide that people simply don't deserve to live, I would say that we definitely have a problem here. And again, I go back. I think it definitely goes back to the unborn. I think it goes back to the news media highlighting and running in perpetual cycles when these kind of things happen, and highlighting and making these people famous. It's why I never mention the name of any of these people who perpetrate these crimes. I don't give their names. I don't show their pictures. I don't talk about them. I talk about the event, but I will never mention their name. Why? Because that perpetuates that. I mean, it gives them the fame that they may, or the notoriety, or the whatever it is that they're looking for. But when we've reached this level where we're become culturally bankrupt in that way, it's not surprising that this is where we're at. So I hope that answers your question, Richie. That's what's changed from the days of driving pickup trucks with gun racks in the back to today. All right, we got to go. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. We got one line on hold. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Okay. Let's continue. Let me go back over to the chat room. Oh, I see I got one line on hold. Let's see who's there. And we'll get their name, and then they will start off with their phone call when we return from the radio. Let's go over here. Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
North Pole.
Bonnie. All right, hold the line. You'll be first up in the queue, Bonnie, as soon as we get there. So don't go anywhere. Hold the line and hang on. Hang on. Buckle up, Buttercup. Here we go. Okay. Okay. The fear has been taken. The fear has. Okay. The fear has been taken away at the school. They took away the takeaway as weapons. I had my share. It didn't kill me. The fear. I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to say there, Justin. I think your autocorrect is not your friend at this point. It looks like POTUS yesterday made Christmas Eve a federal holiday. Okay. That was okay. Oh, man. Harold said criminal issues in the neighborhood. 4 cops with sidearms, a couple of AR rifles, and shotguns. Take care of a lot of issues. Playing Clint Eastwood will get you in trouble. I never suggested that you should play Clint Eastwood. I would suggest that if there's problems in your neighborhood, that you fortify and call the police. But fortify and lock yourself down and be ready to defend your home. That's what I'm suggesting. Don't go out on the streets. Don't do that. Richie says family courts have caused more damage than school incidents ever will. Removing fathers, more so the ones that are stable and not in danger of their children, and turning them into a visitor for the sake of generating revenue for lawyers and counties has consequences. I'm just locked up. There we go. Where is that link, MD? Got a link? You're talking about to the town hall piece? Yeah, let me give you that. Let me give you that here. Kevin, there is the link. The title of it is "A Hard Heart Kills Why Liberal Values Breed School Shootings." And it's a pretty good piece. Pretty good piece. You should go out there and get it. All right. The Biden administration despises corporate America. Okay. Except for the ones, keep them. Okay. I think I'm caught up. Ooh. I'm jealous of Harold. He said, had a large Tokyo boat, 4 large rolls, and a Christmas break party. Even the granddaughter packed showed up for the weekend. Anytime there's a sushi party, I'm in. Hit me with a sushi party. That's all I wanted. I love me some sushi. Richie says, thank you, Mike. The reality is we have a people problem, not a gun problem. And if the people problem gets worked on some, the others should be pretty well self-correcting. I would agree. Yeah. Anthony goes on to continue to say, extreme liberal ideology has eroded societal standards as a whole. Everyone is special. Everyone is a victim. Everyone is righteous, blah, blah, blah. Nobody is accountable for their own actions now. My anxiety made me miss work. I didn't feel safe in this room with toxic men, and on and on. At some point, we're going to start throwing poop at each other like chimpanzees if we keep going backwards on the Darwin scale. Like I said, I think it's a cultural devolution. It's a cultural devolution. That's what it is. Bait. What? It was bait? What was bait? Bait? Oh, sushi is bait? Sushi is delicious, man. I love sushi. And it's one of the things that I miss. It's one of the few things that I miss from moving south, was that there was a great sushi restaurant in Wasilla called Zushi with a Z. That was delicious, man. That was some good eats right there. Absolutely tasty. Okay. Let's see. I think we're all caught up. All right. Well, do me a favor. 35 people, let's see, plus another 9, plus the thing. So we got about 50 people watching this morning, but I only have 22 likes. Now, you may think that's not a big deal, but you realize that I'm a slave to the algorithm. So the more people that like it, the more people are more than likely to discover it on Facebook or YouTube. So no matter where you're watching, please like it and share it. Give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the YouTube channel, you can hit the subscribe button and then ring the little bell for notifications. It'll send you a notice every time we go live. But it may not seem like a big deal to you, but that thumbs up, that little like button, definitely helps with the algorithm to keep us relevant, especially since I'm about to take some time off. All right. We got to go. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio.
Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Duke Show.
I have 2 guns, one for each of you.
Firearms Friday.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, it is the right and duty of the people to be at all times armed.
Say hello to my little friend.
I say that the Second Amendment is, in order of importance, the First Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms is the one right that allows rights to exist at all.
The Michael Duke Show. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Firearms
From my cold, dead hands.
Friday.
Take my rifle, this is my gun. This is for fighting, this is for fun.
Firearms Friday.
Firearms Friday, your chance to sound off on issues of a 2A nature right here on the Michael Duke Show. Merry Christmas. Welcome back to the program. It is hour 2. Just a reminder, we'll be going on vacation starting on Monday throughout Christmas and into the new year. Should be returning on Thursday, the 2nd of January. But wanted to give you guys a heads up, let you know I will be off the air for that period of time. That's my normal Christmas break. This time I'll just be working a lot on getting the stations ready for the launch on January 1st. But we'll be going on. And so this is the last broadcast day of the year for this year. And we're covering firearm stuff, but we're also covering Christmas stuff. So if you got something you want to say Christmassy, this is a good time to do it. 319-527-3864. Got a couple lines on hold. We're going to start off with Bonnie, who held on through the news at the top of the hour. Good morning, Bonnie. What's on your mind?
Well, good morning to you.
Yes, ma'am. What's happening?
Okay, well, I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, to everyone in Alaska. And I already have my Christmas present. The most incompetent president and all their people will be gone. And so that will be my biggest Christmas present. I'm gonna have a wild party. Well, it might be wild according to some people. I might have a cake and candles, but I'm so glad we did succeed. People got smart and said we don't want the socialist communists in our life. So you have a good evening and morning and day, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Merry Christmas, Bonnie. Thanks for holding on. And that's a pretty good Christmas gift if that's how you want to do it. Let's go over here. We got another caller on hold. Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Yes, good morning. Willie Keppel out here in Quinhawk.
Hey, Willie, what's on your mind?
Say Merry Christmas to everybody.
Well, thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. How are things going out there in the bush?
Well, it's kind of a slow start to winter. We haven't even fired the snow machines up, or most of us haven't. There's no snow out here. Everything is glare ice and mud puddles. Rivers are partially open, and they were closed for a while, overflow. So the hunting is for moose, which is a big thing out here. It's the easiest time to go get a moose to fill your freezers. That's all shut down. You can't get to the Yukon. We can't even get across the river to go to Bethel for groceries. So that part's bad. But the good news is the hardware store down here had shotgun shell sale the other day for Christmas presents. And first time I've seen lead shot in a while. Number 4 lead shot for $12.50, 12 gauge, for ptarmigan, and I'm liking that. And they also had buckshot because the seals. Everybody's still chasing seals out in the bay. We don't have an iced over bay yet, and it's good seal hunting. So buckshot was on sale the other day too. I didn't buy any, but that was kind of what we had. But I just wanted to say I really enjoy waking up in the mornings, reading all the comments. It brings a lot of pleasure early in the morning when nobody else wants to talk to me around here, and new insights, some pure comedy sometimes on the website here. But I just hope everybody has a great new year. I know I will. We're rid of Biden.
Yeah.
And with that, I'll turn it back to you, sir.
All right, Willie. Well, thank you so much, my friend. Merry Christmas to you. I hope you have a very merry one and enjoy yourself. And yeah, I mean, hopefully things freeze up a little harder around there so you guys can at least go get groceries across the river. So thanks, Willie, for calling in. We appreciate you being part of it today. 319-527-3864 if you would like to sound off. We'd love to talk with you and see whatever else that you want to, even if it's just to wish people a Merry Christmas. We like that. We like that a lot. You know, part of the problem is that part of the problem with what we're seeing today is that politicians always feel when something happens, like this thing in Wisconsin or something else, is that they've got to do something. And like David Hogg said, oh, they've just got to pass more laws. If they pass more laws, then all this stuff would just quit happening, right? The problem is that they've got laws on the books right now, and they're not even using what they have right now. This is a story out of Pittsburgh that came out on Monday. A 19-year-old guy named Stein Sardai had pled guilty to charges of conspiracy and theft of a firearm from a licensed dealer after they did a smash and grab at a gun store. He won't be sentenced until mid-March, but according to the deal reached with the U.S. attorneys and Cam Edwards over at Bearing Arms, he said the office calls for him to spend just 2.5 years in federal prison for his role in the burglary and theft. They said that Sardai and another guy named Michael Gwynn of Lower Burrell used a pickup truck as a battering ram back in January to break into a firearms store. According to the criminal complaint, the men first stole the truck from another construction site and before driving to the store, and then they smashed the truck into the garage door next to the firearms store. But when they realized the door didn't access the gun store, they left for a few minutes. Apparently, when nobody raised the alarm, they returned and smashed the truck through the front of the firearms store. They said Sardai then directed the other guy where to strike the building, and he wore all black and had a black headlamp. Once inside, he used a hammer to smash the display cases, and both of them removed a bunch of guns. Apparently, about 24 guns were stolen. And although the pair were arrested just a few days after the break-in, the police didn't recover any of them. In fact, it's unclear if any of the guns have been found and returned to the store. Now, here's the thing. Under federal law, theft of a firearm from a gun shop can result in a 10-year prison sentence. Theoretically, if they got 24 guns, that's 24 counts, each one holding 10 years. Even at half the sentence, that's the rest of their lives. In reality, even if they've been convicted on multiple counts, they would have likely served it concurrently. But 10 years is a lot more than 2.5 years. The other guy, Gwynn, also pleaded guilty to conspiracy and theft, as well as being a felon in possession of a firearm. So he's going to get a slightly stiffer punishment. But remember, this is the same Joe Biden that over the last 4 years has been railing against the firearms industry, lawful gun owners, Second Amendment advocates, while, of course, pardoning his own son for firearms crimes and occasionally giving lip service to addressing gun traffickers and other bad actors. But they're not even punishing the people who are actually doing bad things to begin with. It's almost like, well, the gun store owners were bad because they sold guns, so they kind of got what they deserve. So we're just going to slap this guy on the wrist. It's that kind of stuff that's just nutty. I mean, we already have laws on the books. Why aren't we prosecuting people to the fullest extent of the law with that? That's the question, the $1 million question. All right, let's go over here to the phones, see what else is going on. Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hello, Michael. First of all, Merry Christmas to you. This is Bubba calling from North Pole.
Hello, Bubba.
And I have been trying for like 3 weeks. I don't get to hear you like I used to with my job hours now. But there was a lady that called in on Firearms Friday 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I finally got your phone number because you repeated it twice this morning, so I was able to get it. She called in 3-4 weeks ago and talking about having a problem, chambering rounds on semi-automatic weapons because of her arthritis and what have you.
Right.
If she's listening, there's a product on the market called Arachnagrip. And this is a textured tape that is designed for each individual weapon that you put on the receiver, and it helps you to grip the weapon to pull back the slide. I've got arthritis in both thumbs, and it has helped me tremendously. It's not that expensive. And you get like 2 of them in a package with this Arachnagrip, and I don't have any issue with Arachnagrip other than I use them, and they work great. But also, there's a couple of the good 9 mils that like the Sig Sauer, Easy, and so forth. But I just been trying to get that out to you to get to her, let her know about Arachnagrip.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Arachnagrip. So it's a specialty tape that allows people to get a better grip on the firearm as they're trying to charge it.
And yes, and they're designed to fit the grooves in the receiver at the back end. You've got the grooves for getting a grip if you don't have arthritis in your
right.
thumbs. But
yeah.
These fit in each one of them, and you get a couple of them when you order it. And from cleaning, what have you, if they wear out, you can replace them. So, yeah, it's good product.
Okay.
Great product.
Well, good enough. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, you just put it on the slide there, and if it fits in the grooves, it gives you a good chance. I know there's other companies that make like a hook that you can put on there and do all that. But yeah, it can be a problem, especially for people who are older, have problems with their hands for sure. And as you mentioned, I think we mentioned it last time, but as they mentioned, there are some firearms that have an easier, like you said, the Easy, they have a lighter recoil spring, and it makes it easier for you to charge them. So it's a good point. All right, Bubba. Well, Merry Christmas, my friend. Thank you so much.
And good luck with the new year with your radio business, Michael. And I'm sure it will succeed with all the people you have out there that can help you if you got a question.
All right. Well,
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas to you. Thanks for calling in, Bubba. I appreciate it. All right. 319-527-3864. 319-527-3864. Your phone calls reign supreme this morning. Let's go over here. Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
It's Bill from Connecticut.
Well, Bill from Connecticut, how are you this morning? What can I do for you? Merry Christmas.
Oh, Merry Christmas to you as well. I just had a number of questions. Have you ever met your doppelganger at the mall and wondered who's the real Santa?
Occasionally, I do think that. Man, where did that guy come from?
Yeah. Have you ever accidentally delivered yourself a present, and how'd that work out?
I haven't accidentally. I mean, I bought myself a present, but not accidentally delivered it. That's not the case, Bill.
Well, I'm curious, what would happen if the elves unionized and demanded you work the assembly line for a day? Do you think you'd be able to do it?
Oh, I'd have to do it, Bill. I'd have to do it. I mean, you never be willing to tell people to do things that you're not willing to do yourself.
Okay. You ever met the Easter Bunny and met up and exchanged tips and
I have
time
not.
management?
I have
or
not.
is there like a beef between the two of you?
No beef. I have not. I have not met, but I'm sure one day that'll happen. We'll have coffee or something and it'll work out.
Okay. If you had to replace the reindeer with any other type of animal, what would it be? And don't say penguins because that's a little too obvious.
Well, I mean, I was going to say emperor penguins because they're big and they're magical. But, if I had to do it, I guess it would have to be moose. I mean, because come on, I'm in Alaska. Why not?
Okay. I think that's about it.
All right. Well, Bill, thanks for calling in. all the way from Connecticut. Merry Christmas to you, and I hope you have a great and happy New Year. Thanks so much. I mean, why not? Why not play along? I mean, that was fun. Bill listening all the way from Connecticut, trying to figure it out with my Santa Claus look. I mean, I can't help it that my hair's white. I mean, it used to be brown. What are you going to do? It's called age. What are you going to do? All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll do more. Got a couple more stories, and then, of course, we're going to finish up with Willie Waffle from wafflemovies.com. Yes, that's his real name. It's hard to believe, isn't it? We'll be back. The Michael Duke Show. Common Sense, Liberty Bay's Free Thinking Radio.
We're broadcasting live through a series of tubes.
Allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sorry. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
All right. There we go. Phone lines are open. Obviously, phone lines are open. Oh. 17 below in Fairbanks? Well, I'm so glad. Frank just said it's a balmy minus 17 at the Fairbanks Airport. Jeannie says 27 in Kenai. I think this is Terry. She said it was 25 where she's at. Rick says it's 14 degrees out on Kinnick Bay Road, where I used to live out there. And current temperature on top of the world here in beautiful Homer is 36 degrees. With a little bit of drizzle, a little bit of rain, a little bit of sprinkles. So there you go. Yeah, Brian, it's a weird question Friday. Richie asked, what do they smoke in Connecticut? I was just, come on. We're just playing into it. It's good stuff. Anthony said, nah, man, replace the reindeer with grizzly bears. More power, and you could freely park in sketchy neighborhoods. That is the fact right there. 10 below on College Road, says Melissa. Heat wave over here. Man, you guys can keep that below zero stuff. I'm not even ashamed anymore to say I just don't like winter cold that much. Brian says he's 21 out in the Hook, Fishhook Road out in Wasilla. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think we're caught up here. I think we're all caught up. Thanks, Brian. Brian posted the link to those Arachna grips over at talongungrips.com. Thanks so much for that. Okay. All caught up. If you're looking for sushi, I know Richie's been asking about sushi. I got some go-to places. Like I said, if you're going all the way to Wasilla, then Zushi is pretty amazing. If you're in Anchorage, I always go to Ronnie's. I love Ronnie's. Ronnie's has got some great sushi. Some of the other ones are hit or miss, but that's a pretty good stuff. All right. Widows need GSDs. I don't know what a GSD is, Jeannie. She just made a comment there. Maybe it's German Shepherd dogs. Is that what they are? Because Merry Christmas, Terry she said, I finally got my German Shepherd puppy yesterday. Congratulations. I had a Shepherd when I was a kid. My mom and dad, the family had a German Shepherd. Troll. That was what they called him. Troll. Oh, man, he was such a love. He was such a good dog. Man, love that dog. Okay. What else we got here? I suppose we could go over. I guess we'll go over some of the weirder details of the things that's happened in Madison, and then the comment from the current Madison police chief, who's currently apparently the leading candidate for the Seattle police chief. I mean, I got questions. I got questions about this guy. This is some crazy stuff. So we'll talk about that here this morning before we run out of daylight, and then have to jump over to talk about. Willie's got a ton of movies to talk about today. Ton of movies to talk about. So I'm looking forward to that. All right. Let's see. I just watched a movie called I'll have to get back to that comment. All right, over on Rumble. There was a comment on Rumble that I missed. All right, we got to go. I'd be like E2 if I lived in Connecticut. Well, that's just mean. That's just mean. They were just having fun. All right, just having fun. Here we go. Let's do it.
What the hell's an assault weapon?
You know, if we could just figure out how to get all of the murder guns and the attack guns and not keep selling those to people and just sell protection guns, I think that would be great and solve a lot of problems.
Does this mean that if we hurt your feelings, you'd consider the Michael Dukes Show assault radio? Okay, we can live with that. Here's Michael Dukes.
All right, we got about 10 or so minutes here to finish up with his final Firearms Friday for 2024. Willie Waffle will be joining us here shortly to go over our weekend movie and entertainment review, and he's got a passel. He's got a bunch of movies that we're going to talk about. Lots of stuff happening here at Christmas time, so we'll get into that. Couple weird things about this thing that happened in Madison. The details just kind of get weird. Let's start with something. We can start with a couple things. I mean, first and foremost, this could have been much worse. Obviously, 2 people were killed and there was 7 injured. But, we're not up in the realm of the Uvalde or Virginia Tech or Parkland or anything else. So we can be thankful for small favors in that regard. And thank goodness for that. And quite honestly, I'm a little surprised that the number wasn't higher. Because of something else that has come out now that was really weird. The killer, she didn't have just one handgun; she had 2. According to the New York Post, the 15-year-old girl who perpetrated this at the Wisconsin school had 2 guns on her at the time of the attack. She had 2 handguns when she opened fire at the Abundant Life Christian School in Madison Monday morning, killing the substitute teacher Aaron West and freshman Ruby Vergara, according to Police Chief Sean Barnes, noting that the girl's motives remained unclear. He said, "I do not know if she planned it that day or if she'd planned it a week prior. To me, bringing a gun to school to hurt people is planning, and so we don't know what the premeditation is." Well, I mean, yeah, I think everything like that is planned at some point or another. It just doesn't happen. You don't just magically wish up a handgun, especially if you're 15. You don't just spontaneously pop it up and do it. Of course, there was some planning. Now, the sheriff declined to say who purchased the guns, citing it was an ongoing investigation, but that does suggest that he knows where they came from. Which is going to be interesting because Wisconsin has mandatory safe storage laws. So if one of the parents didn't have their firearms secured, it's more than likely that they would have been arrested already. But maybe that's coming. I don't know. But the question is, where did she get them? And that remains to be seen. But here is the strangest part of this whole thing. There's a twist going on. Town Hall has an article talking about this, that she actually may have been corresponding with another nut job. She apparently had reportedly been in contact with a 20-year-old man from California who was allegedly planning a separate mass attack on a government building. The authorities are currently investigating her motive for opening fire at the school. She's believed to have turned the gun on herself after carrying out the shooting. Now investigators are looking into her relationship, with Alexander Charles Paffendorf, a 20-year-old man from Carlsbad, California. The authorities confirmed that the alleged conversations between her and Paffendorf included discussions on his intention to target a government building with explosives. During the interview, CBS News reported, with the FBI, Paffendorf admitted to the agents that he had told her that he would arm himself with explosives and a gun and that he would target a government building. They're still piecing together how the two individuals began speaking. Now, that's kind of crazy. I mean, how do you find somebody on? I mean, there's not like a Tinder hookup for crazy people who want to go do mass murder, right? I mean, that's crazy. Now, the FBI has already sought a red flag order for Paffendorf, and they raided his homes looking for firearms, although they didn't mention finding any. I mean, it's entirely possible that this guy was just out there talking smack on the internet, living in his head, or it could be that maybe they caught on to something here. But what are the odds that two people who are planning this kind of horrific event just happen to bump into each other on the internet, right? One in Wisconsin, one in California. I mean, again, I want to know, is there an app for that? Because if so, we need to ban that one from the App Store immediately. It's weird. All kinds of stuff coming out. Again, no motivation that has been exposed so far. But more interesting to me is the reaction of the aforementioned sheriff, Sean Barnes. I said Sean, but apparently I just realized that it's probably pronounced Sean. It's S-H-O-N, Sean Barnes. He, turns out, is also the rumored frontrunner for the top job at the Seattle Police Department. He said in some interviews and some other stuff, and as reported by one of the radio stations down there in Wisconsin, 770 KTTH, he basically says that he doesn't believe in the Second Amendment. The comment came to light as Barnes gained national attention in the aftermath of the deadly shooting in Madison, where he currently serves as chief. On May 25th, 2022, in an interview with Fox 47, he argued against the Second Amendment, which guarantees the fundamental right to bear arms. But in the wake of a school shooting at the time, Barnes leaned into the go-to argument from the left that because the Constitution is outdated, it should be ignored. He said, quote, "Sometimes it requires an evolution of our thinking. What was written in 1789 may not be appropriate for 2022 unless we're okay with kids being killed." Now, if that's the case, then the internet should be strictly regulated. Free speech over television interviews. I mean, the founding fathers never envisioned any of that stuff, right? No, what they were trying to do is build something that would work in perpetuity. They knew that things would change and technology would change. They knew that things would be different. I mean, again, use the substitution argument in anything that you want on any Second Amendment issue. Just substitute it for the First Amendment or the Fourth Amendment and see how it plays out. The author of this article over there at KTTH says this lazy argument, the one about the history and how old the Constitution is, the lazy argument implies that rights enshrined in 1789 have an expiration date. But it's absurd to assume that the founders, who anticipated future developments, intended the Second Amendment to only apply to muskets. Barnes likely doesn't even believe his argument. He's just anti-gun, so long as it's everyday citizens without a badge who don't get to own a firearm. Again, they're the only ones that are qualified to own a fire, right? It's okay as long as we're the only ones that have it. But again, how has that worked out for us? Remember that California County Sheriff Lori Smith, who she and her deputies were all running a pay-to-play concealed carry permit program. Remember that? Well, she dodged jail time in her role. She dodged jail time, but 2 of her underlings didn't. One was sentenced to 10 months in jail on Monday. And there's still some ongoing trials going on here. But remind me again about how the police are the only ones qualified. There was another one in New York, right? There was another scandal, the same thing in New York, where these guys were going through here. I mean, come on. They're the only ones qualified to do this because they're the only one. You know who are the only ones? Concealed carry holders. Statistically, more unlikely to commit a crime than a police officer, concealed carry holders in this country, statistically. We got to go. Back with more.
Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. I mean, what? Madison, Wisconsin, and Seattle. That makes sense, says Tony. Does it? I mean, I don't know that much about Madison, but is it really that crazy? All right, let's change that. Change all the colors over. Get all that done. Just get all that done. Let's see. My salt penguin isn't too happy about my puppy, says Frank says, I should be able to get your kimchi. Oh, Frank's mailing me something. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. All right. Crazy can always find crazy. Like junkies can always find junkies, said Brian. Maybe. I mean, maybe that's what it is. I mean, how do you even put that out there? Right? On the internet. Oh, by the way, I'm about to go do something really bad. I'm about to do this and this and this. Anybody else want to talk about it? I mean, how do you do that? I just, man. Yeah. He has no business, says Rick, because Rick is not wrong here. He has no business being in law enforcement or any public office if he does not defend the Constitution, period. I mean, he can have an opinion that he thinks it, but I mean, you got to defend it. You got to swear to uphold and defend it. And if you've been vocal about how you don't believe in it, how much faith would I have that you're actually going to protect that right if you don't believe in it, even though you've sworn an oath, right? Even though you've sworn an oath, how sure am I that that's exactly what's going to happen there? I'm asking for a friend. Just asking for a friend there. I'm wondering. I am wondering. All right. The same kids get killed in car crashes every day. And in fact, multiple. Well, I mean, more. Yeah. I mean, I think more people are killed in automobile accidents than are killed by handgun. They're murdered by handguns. I mean, suicides account for a larger portion, but if you're just talking about straight out, flat out murder, then yeah, that's a truth, Jeannie. If the sheriff or chief in this case breaks his constitutional oath, he should be stripped of his badge, says Donna. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I put the Willie colors on. Willie gets the Willie colors. All right. I have a question. Do you need to have a what? Do you need to have a press pass for law enforcement? I don't know what you mean, Harold. All right. I'm not gonna touch that one, Jeannie. Not gonna touch that one with a 10-foot pole. That's the fact. I'm not gonna touch that one with a 10-foot pole. Not at all. Not at all. All right. Okay. I accidentally reset my clock here, my little timer. So I have to make sure that I get it back up and running so that we are on time here, waiting for my phone to buzz, and we will get Willie locked into the system here. All right. There we go. All right. Willie's ready, and we are ready to get things going on. Is free press limited to those with a press pass? No, that's not what I'm saying. Hope that wasn't what you took away from it. That wasn't what I was trying to say. Anthony said, it's not surprising two people found each other like that when you consider virtually all your media is algorithmic adjustment. At some point, that computer is going to keep sifting data to an endpoint where you're in an absolute echo chamber. That's something I hadn't considered, because they said she was obsessed with mass shootings and deaths and online stuff and all that kind of stuff. So not surprising that, that would be an interesting thing. You're probably right, Anthony. It probably is the algorithm sifting them down to that final endpoint where it's just all crazy people who love to talk about what they potentially could do. Again, just another reason to show and prove positive that you can't legislate insanity or evil. It just doesn't. They're gonna search each other out. Search each other out. All right. All right. We're coming up on it. We got to go. Please like and share, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that stuff. Let's get Merry Christmassy in here. Let's get into it with Willie. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Let's do this thing. Here we go. Okay, welcome back to the program. Firearms Friday, but now it's the last time we get to visit with Willie for a whole year, until the whole new year, man. This is the last broadcast for the year, and this is our last chance to talk to Willie. And boy, did he save the best for last. He's got it packed and stacked to this morning, folks. Stacked and packed. Willie Waffle, wafflemovies.com. Hello, my friend.
Ho, ho, ho. I bring you tidings of joy, tidings of entertainment. We do have some things that are actually worth watching this week.
Oh, man, that's amazing. And there's a lot of them. We've got 6 movies to go over. So we're just going to breeze through a few quick headlines here on the entertainment front. And we'll start off. I think the theme of this week's entertainment report is there's nothing new under the sun, and all they do is regurgitate. I mean, come on. Barbie's sequel. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Again, Malcolm in the Middle comes back. Where do you want to start?
Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. That's right. They're cashing in, baby. Let's start with the Barbie sequel. Now, a very controversial story that it was broken by the Hollywood Reporter. They claim they have 2 solid sources that say the Barbie sequel is going to happen. That writer and director Greta Gerwig and her husband, who's also one of the writers, Noah Baumbach, have finally come up with a story. Now, Warner Brothers is denying it. Representatives for the couple are denying it. But, dude, it's happening. You don't make that much money with a movie and not make a sequel in the year 2024.
Yeah, no.
Just trust me, it's happening.
Yeah, it's happening. All right. So what is this going to be, at least 2 years away? Is that what they're saying?
Oh, God, at least. I mean, it'd have to be at least 2 years because, Greta Gerwig is now doing a Netflix version of the Chronicles of Narnia. So she's kind of tied up for a while.
Yeah, she's kind of busy. All right. So Barbie sequel happening. I guess that means I do have to watch the first one eventually. All right. I Know What You Did Last Summer again. I mean, haven't they already done like 2 or 3? And now they're going back again. But the good news is that my boy Freddie Prinze Jr. is going to be back. Jennifer Love Hewitt. I mean, they're bringing back the all-star cast. Give me the details here.
Yeah, I mean, that was the really big announcement. So, we've known that they're working on I Know What You Did Last Summer, kind of a sequel to Freddie Prinze Jr. But Jennifer Love Hewitt let it out this week. Yes, she is going to be appearing in the sequel coming July 2025. And, this movie didn't make $1 billion like Barbie, but they're gonna make a sequel.
Right, of course I mean, the original one was pretty good. I mean, it was, as far as a 90s
Yeah.
slasher flick, it was pretty good. It was fun, it was enjoyable, it was entertaining. And like I said, I love me some Freddie Prinze Jr. So that's all good. July of what, 25, they're saying?
July of 2025. And to be honest with you, I'm not surprised they're making a sequel because just simply, I think it's the horror movie for a generation. I mean,
I
like
agree.
there's a
I
whole
agree.
generation that said this is our horror movie. This is the one we love. This
Right.
is the one that defines us. So they're going to bring it back.
Yeah, it was this one, and then it was Scream. So this came out before
Yeah.
Scream, and so this is kind of that generation's, horror movie. So yeah. Malcolm in the Middle. I've never seen a single episode. I know everybody raves about it, but it's got a 4 parts. Everybody's doing a reboot or a we're going to pick up the continuation. What's going on?
This is the one that shocks me. So yes, they're gonna pick up. It's gonna be kind of basically a follow up, right? The Malcolm in the Middle, which was on back in like 1999 or 2000, somewhere in there. And now they're gonna pick it up 25 years later. They're gonna do a 4-part series on Disney Plus. And yes, they're bringing back Frankie Muniz. Yes, they're bringing back Jane Kasmerick. But my Lord, man, they're bringing back Bryan Cranston,
Wow.
who has a career.
Right.
He has other offers.
Well, I can tell you what the problem with this is going to be. Frankie Muniz still looks like he's 15 years old. So it's going to be
the poor guy.
It's going to be kind of a tough deal to sell that he's now 30 or 35 or whatever it is. But okay. Again, I would really like to have some new ideas. I'm just asking. Maybe
good luck with that.
Yeah, maybe this week on the movies we can find some new ideas. So where do you want to start? We got 6, baby, 6 of them. So I'll let you drive the bus on this. Where do you want to start?
Let us start with, you know what? Let's go with Disney. Let's go with Mufasa, the Lion King. Not an original idea, a prequel, as we learn how Mufasa became the Lion King, orphaned as a little boy, adopted by another pride of lions, and proving himself when an evil group of white lions try to take over.
Okay.
Not very subtle. I know.
Yeah,
I
know.
I was like, dude, are they trying to say something here?
It's like a little apartheid going on here, a little apartheid in the Disney theater. So what do you think? I mean, does it?
I think it's a decent one. It's an interesting story. I mean, these are characters that we know, and they really kind of they almost like kind of played as a prequel, but also a setup for a sequel because the movie really kind of starts around the birth of Simba and Nala's daughter.
Okay.
Voiced by Beyonce's daughter, Blue Ivy.
Oh, okay.
Oh dear God.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we learn the story of how Mufasa became the king, and there's lots of inside jokes about things that we know are going to happen, and there's decent music. I mean, it's Lin-Manuel Miranda. He's pretty good. So I'm at 3 waffles. I think you got some decent CGI, decent story.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So where do we go from here? Up or down?
Well, then I'm just going to say I know Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is coming out and it's in theaters this week, and my Christmas present to myself was that I would not have to see Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
So that's a null waffle score for Sonic.
It's no. And what really gets me is I think they're the most atrocious movies that have ever been made, and they're going to make a 4th one. They just announced it like today or yesterday.
No,
they're going to announce they're going to do a 4th one of these things.
Oh my gosh,
God.
Kristen Ritter, Keanu Reeves, Jim Carrey, James Marsden. This has got a bunch of people voicing in it, but it's still just trash, is what you're saying.
I hate the Sonic movies. I hate them with a passion.
All right. We'll let that one go. Move on, my friend. Move on.
Then we will go to Nosferatu, which is opening on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Basically a remake of the classic silent horror film, right? Came out in 1922. And they really do kind of stick to the same plot. You've got Nicholas Hoult in the 1830s. He's like this like estate agent or real estate agent, and he has to travel to a little country called Transylvania, where an odd client wants to buy some property and move. But this odd client, can I say it?
Yeah.
He's Dracula. Okay, he's Dracula. And there's this whole thing where he's he's tormenting Nicholas Holt's wife, who's played by Lily Rose Depp, by the way, in her dreams, and it's some sort of prophecy that's now being foretold, and he has a secret minion that's preparing for him to come to this town and take over and live out the prophecy, and it's a disaster. I mean, listen, unless you're like a really big time movie making expert or movie making minded person, you will be impressed by the fact that they're kind of making it in that same old 1920s style, and you'll love that overbearing music, and you'll love kind of the overacting and the reacting, and you'll love the way they make the sets look. But it's just not that interesting. It's not that scary. It's not that thrilling. There's no tension in it. It's half a waffle, if you ask me.
Whoa, wow. Okay. All right. Willie, you might be a little jaded. I'm looking on Rotten Tomatoes here, and I'm just saying.
I know everybody else loves it.
Yeah, no, but I mean, Bill Skarsgård and William Dafoe he plays what? He plays like the Van Helsing type character, right? Or
yeah, that kind of character. Yeah.
So, you got William Dafoe and Nicholas Hoult and Aaron Taylor Johnson coming fresh off his Kraven the Beast Hunter movie. I mean, this should be this. I'm interested to see it. I love that. I love the original Nosferatu, so maybe I will like this. All right, but half a waffle. What's that take us to? A complete.
That takes us to.
Go ahead.
Yes, Christmas Day, a complete unknown about someone who is not unknown.
Right.
Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan.
And this is basically the story of Bob Dylan from when he kind of moves to Greenwich Village in the early 1960s and kind of works his way up, becoming this folk hero, this legend, this amazing talent who's hotter than any other talent. And he decides to turn his back on the folkies and go electric. And there's a showdown at the big folk festival.
Wow.
And listen, and the thing that always got me, okay, I'm just going to make this statement. He didn't turn his back on the folk music. He evolved it into rock and roll, and he merged it with rock and roll. Right. And he deserves that credit. Timothy Chalamet as Bob Dylan is very, very good. I mean, he's not going to be a perfect embodiment of Bob Dylan, but he captures the spirit. He captures the attitude. He captures the fact that, frankly, he's kind of a jerk a lot of the time.
Right.
So you see that story. You see the strife he has in his personal relationships, but then you also see, frankly, the genius of his music and the message that he's playing here. I'm at 3 waffles. I think it's very good. And Ed Norton should get a lot more credit as he plays Pete Seeger and does an amazing job as Pete Seeger.
Well, that should be good. Now, this is the one that's getting all the Oscar buzz, right?
Yeah, I mean, it really is. Chalamet, I think you've got to consider him one of the front runners for Best Actor. I think it's going to be a Best Picture nominee, and I think Ed Norton's going to be a Best Supporting Actor nominee. I can't say enough. I love the way he plays the guy. He plays Pete Seeger as this guy who truly sees the genius of Bob Dylan and knows that this is going to be a big star. And maybe kind of hitches his own wagon to him a little bit too much, and that's really interesting to watch that dynamic play out.
Well, that'll be interesting to see. If I ever watch this, I'll have to watch it alone. Terry is not a fan of Bob Dylan, so we'll have to see. All right, that moves us over to The Fire Inside.
That's right, another Christmas Day movie, and this is the true story of Clarissa T-Rex Shields. Why? Who is she? Well, not to give it away, spoiler alert, she's the first American woman to ever win a gold medal in boxing. And so the first part of the movie is that traditional feel-good underdog story, right? She's a kid from Flint, Michigan. That is about the wrong side of the tracks as the wrong side will ever get in anybody's life. And she meets her mentor, her Mr. Miyagi, if you will, played by Brian Tyree Henry, who's a great actor. And he trains her and he builds her up and she goes to the Olympics and she becomes this star. And then it's the second part of the movie that I thought was more interesting. What happens after the Olympics?
Right.
Did everybody's dreams come true? Did everything they hoped for happen? And you find out, no, it doesn't. And you see the strife that emerges and the feeling that they've been betrayed in somehow of their dreams. They've been betrayed for all of this effort that they put in. And I think that's the movie I loved. And that's why I gave it 3 waffles.
Okay. All right. 3 waffles for The Fire Inside. That leaves us just under 3 minutes for this one. You mentioned this one last week on Netflix. And I mentioned it to Terry about we didn't review it. You just mentioned it as a good pick. Carry On Netflix.
This is a really good. This is, I think somebody else has said this. I'm sure some marketing person has said this. I'm going to say it. It is your modern day Die Hard. Okay, so you've got, yes, Taron Egerton. He's just this young TSA agent. He's got to work on Christmas Eve. His girlfriend, who is pregnant, is also working at the airport. She works for one of the airlines. And, he's starting to realize that he's got to get his life together. He's going to be a dad. He's got to start making some more money. He's got to start moving up in life. And when he gets his chance on Christmas Eve, the worst thing that could ever happen happens. An evil terrorist, played by Jason Bateman, basically blackmails him and says, "You're going to let this suitcase get on this plane, or I'm going to kill everybody you love."
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, the way they play out the movie, you totally believe he could do it.
Yeah.
Because because there are moments where Egerton thinks he can outsmart the guy,
Right.
thinks he can find a way to talk to the cops, thinks he can find a way to stop this horrible, horrible plot. And Bateman's always a step ahead of him, and it becomes more dangerous and more dangerous and more evil as we go along. And it does become that battle between the young kid underdog who's just totally overmatched and Jason Bateman, who seems to be the evil mastermind that you can't stop.
Wow. So is it a thriller? Is it action? Is it a combination?
Big time thriller. Big time thriller. Lots of action in here as well.
All right.
And I think they're both really good actors.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun to watch them kind of going back and forth. And Bateman doesn't seem to be your typical villain, and he's great. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
He scared me. If he was telling me to put a bomb on a plane, I think I might have to.
All right. So how many waffles? Carry On.
I'm at 3.5 waffles. I thought it was really good.
Wow. Well, I love Taron Egerton, from the Kingsman. I mean, I loved him from that series. So this would be fun to watch. We'll have to see how it works out. Next time in the new year, Wallace and Gromit.
Yes, the new Wallace and Gromit movie. We will talk about it. It's going to be on Netflix when we come back after the first of the year.
All right, my friend. Merry Christmas to you, Willie. Thank you so much.
Merry Christmas.
May your stocking be full of pumpkin pie. I mean, that's weird, but there you go.
Oh, but no, my heart, baby.
I know exactly.
That's what I want.
Right. All right, folks. We're out of time. We'll see you guys next year. Merry Christmas. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned this, and then I looked at the little trailer, and I was like, "Wow, that looks pretty good." So now I'm gonna have
good.
to.
It's so tense, and and it just starts and it keeps going and going and going. There's not really a slow moment in this movie. There is not a moment where it's slow, where it loses the tension. There's not a moment where you're not thrilled. I mean, it's a really good movie.
All right. Well, we'll have to put it to the end. We were having an argument the other day, one of my son and I, and he's like, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. I'm like, it's a Christmas. He said, even Bruce Willis said it's not a Christmas movie. I'm like, I don't care what Bruce Willis said. It's a Christmas movie. Anyway, so if I can add one more to my list, I'm all about that. I am all about that for sure. What else are you watching over the holidays, Willie? What else are you looking for?
I need to get caught up. I mean, Landman, the Billy Bob Thornton series. I loved the first few episodes. I have to get caught up on that. I think I still have some Oscar type movies I've got to catch up on. I've got responsibilities there with the Critics' Choice Awards that I've got to vote for. And I want a little something fun for me. I want something that I'm gonna really love, and so I'm trying to go through all these different series that I haven't had a chance to see, and I really just want to take a little time during the holidays to watch one of them.
Yeah, exactly. Enjoy it.
So,
all right. Well, we'll have to see how it looks when we get back. Willie, Merry Christmas, sir. Thank you so much for coming on board.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, and we will see you in the new year, okay?
I'll be there.
All right, folks. I mean it this time. I am going to go. I got a lot of work to do between now and New Year. when we take the stations, when we take over the stations and we take them live on all the new equipment and all the new systems and everything else. Pray for me. Pray for me, okay? But enjoy your holiday. I'm taking Christmas Eve and Christmas Day off. That's all I'm doing. The rest of it's work time. We'll see you guys in the new year. Be kind, love one another, live well, and Merry freaking Christmas, okay? Enjoy yourselves. We'll see you.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show.